Hello. Long time no see, my friends. It has been so incredibly long since I've done any kind of serious video anything, and I just wanted to come on and give a couple of life updates. So, judging by the title of this video, you probably got the gist of it, but I have been officially selected as an officer candidate for the Coast Guard. That may come as a surprise to some of you, and if you are someone who's known me for the past couple of years, that may not be a surprise to you at all. Though you may be asking yourself, Sammy, why the Coast Guard? A lot of people know me in the aviation community, specifically through my job and also through traveling and air shows, fly-ins, that sort of thing. And maybe a few of you have been following my aviation journey for the past couple of years. I have some friends who have been working on me for a long time. And what I mean by that is I've always, not always, but over the past few years of my pilot journey, I've become more and more interested in military aviation and military lifestyle, and specifically joining the military, though I was less interested in full-time when that interest started, and I was more interested in things like the Air National Guard, where you apply for a career spot at a unit and you stay at that unit typically for 10 years or however long you want to serve in that unit as a part-time individual. And for the longest time, that is what I was really interested in. But the caveat to that is a lot more people were also interested in that because it was the branch and the particular style of service that everyone suddenly became much more aware of thanks to resources and websites like Bogey Dope. So can't complain because I learned a lot of information, and that is a phenomenal resource, but it just made one of the military's best kept secrets suddenly not a secret. So everyone was super interested in the Air National Guard, as they should be. It's a phenomenal branch and it is a excellent way to serve, and also you control your job because you have to apply for it, as well as knowing what you're getting into, what your commitments are, and not having to be full-time in the military. It is super appealing to many people. I was feeling frustrated with the Air National Guard process, and I started to be more and more interested in making it a full-time career if I knew I would have a great quality of life. There was a little bit of resistance to the full-time service for that reason, but I became more and more interested in the Coast Guard as I started to learn about their quality of life and their opportunities and their missions. So that is what attracted me to them, and that in part goes back to my friends who I told you have been working on me for some time. So being in aviation, having a lot of clients in this space and a lot of friends in this space, there's a lot of ex-military, there's a lot of current military, and quite a few of my clients and peers were like, you would actually be really great in this position, or like in this branch of service or whatever, like you should totally go for it if you want to. Hey buddy. But I always kind of was like, yeah, I mean, okay, whatever. Those conversations didn't come up often, but when I moved to Florida and I got closer to my BVR friends, and if you don't know BVR Design, you should check them out if you don't know it already. I'll link it in the description. We would go to like air shows and stuff, and they would just be like, you know, Sammy, you would be a hell of a coastie. Like, you would really fit in a way that you may not feel as connected to in other branches. Like, these missions really overlap with who you are as a person, and the lifestyle is something that I think they thought that I would personally enjoy. And the first couple times it came up in previous conversations, again, I just kind of like shrugged it off. I was like, yeah, I mean, but I didn't know anything about the Coast Guard. So I was like, boats. But the turning point for me was while I was in the process of trying to take all my tests for the Air National Guard and like going through their recruitment process, and I was feeling frustrated, and we were at Sun and Fun, and I was talking to Brian, and I was like telling him about it, and all of a sudden we see a 60, he's like, hold on, wait. And the 65 comes in, which is Coast Guard, search and rescue, Hitron, they fly those Dolphins, which are those helos that they take on those missions. And he's like, do you want to go talk to the Dolphin pilot? Because I think you should. And I was like, actually, yeah, let's do it. So we go talk to the crew, and it was, so the pilot is a female, first off. The crew was super cool, and talking to her was so interesting. So Brian introduces me, kind of gives a little backstory on who he is and like what I'm interested in, and just kind of makes that connection for me. And talking to her was like talking to a potential future version of myself in like 3 or 4 years, because she was like, yeah, so the reason I joined the Coast Guard is because I tried to join the Air National Guard and it was frustrating. And so I said, screw it, and joined the Coast Guard. It worked out, and now she loves it. And she says, it's great. And I'm like, whoa, no, like I'm literally going through that right now. That was just really inspiring to me, because it was, in that moment, I saw a role model and potential of what I could have in a career, and like what I could potentially look like as a Coast Guard officer. And that moment totally clicked for me. And I was sold. I was like, oh, I'm in, like, I'm so in. Give me your recruiter's number like right now for this area that I live in. And so they hooked me up with a really great recruiter. He transitioned out right as I was making that connection with him. And he set me up with my current recruiter, who is awesome. And the rest of the process has been really excellent. Went through that whole MEPS thing, which was super interesting, and got my physical stuff figured out, got all my paperwork, and put together my packet with a lot of help from a lot of people. Talked to some mentors, and I was selected, which everyone said I had a great packet. My interview was excellent, very conversational. Went to Hitron unit here, talked to those guys, and obviously they asked some tough questions, but it almost was just conversational, you know, which to me I took as a really good sign. And they had good things to say. Overall, the OCS process was tough, because it's a lot, but I do recommend it if you get a great recruiter, and if you go out of your way to learn as much as you can and make connections. The Coast Guard is so small of a branch that people are gonna know who you are, and first impressions, especially if you're a go-getter and you're someone who goes out of your way to get to know these people and make that connection with them, you're going to do well. So at the end of the day, I've been selected. Now the hard part begins, because I gotta do some push-ups, get strong, work on my mile. I'm already doing swim classes so I can have some endurance and be a strong swimmer and strong cardio. So that's where we're at. And I go to officer school in July. Now, obviously my commission is selected upon completion of the program, and I am applying for flight school, which I will learn more about that while I'm there. I will compete for a flight position out of OCS while I'm there. So I'll go to the flight board, do all the appropriate stuff, write a statement on why I want to be a Coast Guard pilot, and all that good stuff. So that's pending, fingers crossed. But either way, I'm just super excited about this new career opportunity. And if that is something you would like to hear more about, specifically the process or what that looks like, or if you just want to follow along in that journey, definitely let me know. I would love to share more because it's not the easiest process and there's a lot to it. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at. Life's good. And maybe I'll share some of my journey with you guys in the future. Anyway, that is pretty much it for today. Thanks for catching up with me, and I'll see you next time.